If you want to be the best, you got to beat the best, and the best is blessed, baby.
All right, gentlemen, we've been over the rules. Protect yourself at all times. Follow my instructions. Keep it clean. Touch gloves if you wish. Let's do it.
Oh, what's up, Straight Talk Society? This is your host, Trevor, and welcome to another edition of Straight Talk MMA, episode 12. Sorry for those technical difficulties. That's the downside of having so many things. That's why I don't like to have so many banners and things like that. What happened, I have a background that I play, like a GIF, and I thought that was the video. So the whole time I'm playing it, I'm scurrying around the office trying to figure out why I don't hear anything. And then I look down and I'm like, oh, I'm such a damn idiot. I never played the video. I was playing the background GIF. That is like the main reason why I don't like to have so many different things. Like I just want like one or two standard things and that's it. And I just rock out with that. But nevertheless, I mean, you guys are tuned in for a good one tonight. Seems like we haven't had one of these in a while. But without further ado, let me bring in my co-host. What's going on, Bones?
Yo, what's up?
What's happening, Zay?
Yo, what's going on? What's up?
Man, I didn't know what I'm looking. I'm scurrying around the office. I'm like, damn, what the hell going on with my what's going on with my sound? What's going on with my sound? So as y'all can see on the screen right now, y'all see the fight scene that's playing in the back. I thought that was the video. So
I thought so too. I thought it was messing up on my end.
Yeah. So I'm hitting in there. I'm looking in there. I'm like, damn. That's why the video not making any sound. Why it's not making any sound? And I'm just looking and looking. I'm unplugging everything, plugging things back in, trying to pivot, trying to find new ways to see how we gonna do it without the sound. And then I just happened to look down and I was like, oh man, I wasn't playing a damn video, but nevertheless. All right, we got a good one. By everything that I see, that this fight card is supposed to be awesome. So let me
International Fight Week, baby.
Yeah, it's International Fight Week. So let me first of all pull up the cards so everybody see what we're doing tonight. UFC 290. So my first thing on this though is the original poster that I saw had John Jones and Stipe on it.
Yeah, because that's what they were planning to do, but I think Stipe pricing himself out. Well, I don't know what the problem is, but whatever it is, it seems like it's on Stipe end, whether it's financially or whatever, I don't know. But Jones seemed like he's been ready to rock, and I think they started trying to make it for November, but once they found out that fight wasn't going to happen, you know, Volkanovski is always looking for somebody to defend his title against. So they put this together. They did a pretty good job on the card, nevertheless. And honestly, I feel like if you got Jones and Stipe, people are going to watch it for the name value. But I feel like these title fights they have are going to be more entertaining fights.
What were you gonna say, Bones?
If Stipe playing around and he don't want to fight, then they move on and get a title shot to my Russian guy who knocked out Curtis Blades last time. Because
what's this? Brendan rooting for a Russian? Bones rooting for a Russian? What?
Yeah, because look, honestly, let's keep it real. Stipe doesn't really deserve a title shot because his last fight he got knocked out clean by Ngannou. So if you want to play around and hold the fight up, then they should just move on.
All right, so
yeah, but according to you, my bad. According to you, Khabib doesn't deserve anything. Makhachev doesn't deserve anything. So it's the first time I ever heard you say a Russian deserves something.
Yeah, neither one of them got knocked out and then got a title shot. So it's different.
What's today? Today is Thursday. So the card is Saturday, but you know, I've been off this week, enjoying my time off. So, you know, we decided to kind of get these things crammed in earlier. Because I'm worn out, man. I was at the water park with the little one and the wife today. So you know how that is when you're in the hot sun and chlorine, it kind of wears us black people out. So and then I didn't go to sleep till like 2 o'clock this morning up playing Madden. So that's a whole nother story. But
can they at least go to the bowl in the game is the question.
So I started because I knew I asked y'all like how do you play the regular season. So I found that out, you know, in the franchise mode and everything. But I didn't know that in the regular season you can't adjust the time of the game.
Yeah, you got to be able to.
No. You gotta. They had 3 options. You could play a mode where they just put you in like situational, so they'll speed the game up that way. Or you could play the full 60-minute game, or you could play offense or defense, which makes the game like 20 minutes. So that's what I chose. I like to play offense anyway. I don't really care to play defense on no video games. So it's just like everything. These games, they just make everything so damn weird, man. Like nothing is ever the way it used to be. But I was up to like 2 o'clock this morning playing, and I put up 62 points on New England, so I felt good about that one. I got Baltimore. I got Baltimore next. So when I play tonight, I got Baltimore, you know, because they're going off of last year's schedule. So I got Baltimore next. And then I was playing the Street Fighter. That Street Fighter game is awesome, man. Like when you get a feel for the controls and you you doing the move set and stuff, it just put me back in like the 90s when I was a kid playing Street Fighter hyper mode.
It's actually better than I expected.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. I like how I like how they made all the original characters. Like they changed, and like Dawson just looks like an old grizzled vet, and he moves slower, and you know it's cool, man. It's real good. So I'll probably be up to like 2 o'clock again this morning. This morning doing that, trying to get some games in because I got to go back to work next week. So I know I ain't gonna have no real time to play it. So
yeah, just enjoy your time off, man. Enjoy your time off. It's a lovely thing.
So you mentioned it earlier, this International Fight Week. What is that?
All right. So International Fight Week is something that Vegas and tourism, I think this is like the 10th year in a row. Vegas tourism drops dramatically in the month of July because it's so damn hot. And they needed to get their tourism up. And so they tried to make a deal with the UFC to where you do something real big here in Vegas in the month of July, like around 4th of July time. So they started with The first one was when Frank Mir got defeated by Brock Lesnar. And what they do is like all throughout the week, they have fan expos. They got about 50 different fighters you can meet. You could then you go to the weigh-ins, you go to the press conference. They have certain parties. I think then they have the event, and then they have the pool party on Sunday, like a UFC pool party, and they pretty much got something to do every day of the week. Sometimes 2 or 3 events a day, so you can pick and choose. And so they say right now in Vegas they sold over 200,000 hotel rooms and made over $200 million just off of fight week alone so far, and the fight hasn't even started yet.
So basically, WrestleMania coming to a city near you, then.
Right, pretty much.
And they have the Hall of Fame too.
Yeah, the Hall of Fame, which was last night. And speaking of the Hall of Fame, I would like to just say shout out to Jens Pulver, shout out to Anderson Silva, shout out to Robbie Lawler versus Rory McDonald too. They put that fight in the Hall of Fame. And Jose Aldo also went to the Hall of Fame. So all well deserved. I'm glad to see Jens Pulver finally make it the first ever UFC lightweight champion. Looked like it wasn't gonna happen for a while, long overdue.
Interesting to see Jens Pulver go in there. Like, I know the name. I know the name, but I didn't think he was I didn't think he was anything, you know. Robbie Lawler, Anderson Silva, definitely Jose Aldo. But when you hear like that list and then you throw in a Jens Pulver, you're like, oh, okay.
Most people don't realize Jens Pulver was a pioneer. Like my brother said, was the first ever. And you know, like back then, he was putting like the lightweights on the map, and you know, he had one of the first feuds that I remember in the UFC is Jens Pulver versus BJ Penn, which in turn made BJ Penn my favorite fighter at the time.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. If it wasn't no Jens Pulver, it wouldn't be no BJ Penn. It wouldn't be no Khabib, all the lightweights. Like, that was the first ever. UFC wasn't doing the lighter weight classes, and Jens Pulver came in and got the first lightweight champion. History was made.
And I know we're all happy for those BJs. So
it's better to give than to receive, Trevor. You know that.
So me, Venkat, and Dwayne surprisingly did a show Wednesday. What's today? Today's Thursday. So we did it yesterday. That damn show was 4.5 hours. Longest show ever done on this channel. So that's definitely not happening. Like that was,
nah, I'm with you on that.
Like that was crazy, man. Shout out to those of y'all in the chat right now. Those of you watching in the clouds, please make sure and hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Our videos actually have been getting a lot of really good traction lately, especially the what video did we do? Our Money in the Bank video that we did on Saturday. Somebody hearing some noise in the background. We did a Money in the Bank review Saturday, right after Money in the Bank, and it hit over 400 views on Facebook alone. It might be at 500 now. What happened on YouTube is that they flagged the video. WWE hit me with a copyright strike because I videotaped our reaction to LA Knight not winning the Money in the Bank. So they flagged the video. So it's just weird how that works, that they flagged it on YouTube but not on Facebook. And you know, so it was flagged for a whole day, and it's crazy. That's why I'm real leery playing. Even sometimes when I'm going to play like fight speeches and stuff on here, I get kind of weirded out doing it, just because these big companies, man, they are out to get you for whatever reason. I mean, God forbid their
small fish in a big pond.
Yeah, God forbid their fans broadcast their stuff for them. I mean, it's crazy. But let's get into this let's get into this fight card. So we're at the prelims, and let's see. So are anything on the early prelims you guys want to see?
No, you skip to the regular prelims.
All right, so we're at the prelims, and you got number 4 in the light heavyweight bout. You have number 14, Jimmy Crute versus Alonzo Menifield.
Well,
All right. So, when Jimmy Crute first came into the UFC, I was a big fan of his, and I thought that he was going to be, he was like a rising prospect, kind of like how Jack Della Maladena is right now. But he just kind of never lived up to the expectations. Alonzo Menifield, he just kind of, I would say, kind of like a gatekeeper in a way. If I had to pick, I'm gonna pick Jimmy Crute by decision.
all right. Well, I'm gonna just say this was a fight that happened about like 4 or 5 months ago. They fought to a draw. It was definitely a banger. It won a fight of the night when it happened the first time. And so off top, as you can see, remember when I was telling you about when you see the card is littered with people who got numbers by their name, that's how you know it's supposed to be, like, it's set up for some great matchups. Off the very first regular prelim, you got number 14 versus somebody who probably just outside the top 15. Menifield, I feel like as long as his gas tank hold up, he's more like an explosive kind of brute. Jimmy Crute, he has a hell of a chin. I mean, look at it. It's just like, but I actually saw him fight live when he fought Anthony Smith. It's one of them fights that's gonna be a banger. That's a great way to start off the prelims. They fought to a draw last time. I'm gonna say Menifield by finish.
Hey, I will say in the last fight, Menifield did drop him 3 times.
So wait a minute, these two fought one another before?
Yeah, their last fight was against each other. They fought to a draw.
Oh, okay.
Jimmy Crute came out on fire, but then I think he started gassing out, and Menifield started coming back towards the middle, late into the fight. It was a couple of times where Crute got dropped, and I thought it was going to be over, but I don't know how he hung in there. And I feel like it might have been a point deduction or something like that, which made it like even more of a draw. I don't really remember the specifics, but it was definitely fight of the night. I remember it won fight of the night.
Hey, bro, you think Jimmy gonna try to stand with him, or you think he gonna mix it up and try to use his grappling and try to get some takedowns in?
I think he definitely gonna use all his tools in his box, but I just feel like Alonzo Menifield has improved. I don't think he's really been around long enough to call him a gatekeeper, but I see why you say that because he's not like he never really going no like good win streak and whatnot. Jimmy Crute definitely got more hype behind him, and he's the younger fighter, I believe, at least as far as like mileage. I know he's definitely younger when it comes to mileage, but I think he's gonna try to mix it up, use all the tools in his bag. But Menifield has improved, and I don't know what they learned from each other in the last fight, so it's kind of interesting to see what adjustment is going to get made on both sides.
Yeah, and that's the main reason why I picked Jimmy Crute, because to me it's kind of like a dead even matchup, but because he to me he was losing that last fight, I feel like he'll make the adjustments because it's always easier, in my opinion, for the fighter that lost in the rematch, And although he didn't lose the fight, he was, like losing the fight, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you, and that's kind of like Anthony Smith is fighting Ryan Spann again, and the way he demolished him the first time, it's hard to do it and look just as good. You get what I'm saying? Like, you don't learn much from demolishing somebody, but you learn what you did wrong when you take that L. So I agree with you on that.
Or you just get demolished again.
You never know. You never know.
So our next fight in a women's strawweight bout, we have Yasmin. I'm not gonna try to say it. Versus Denise Gomes, and Yasmin is a heavy favorite, like heavy favorite. My goodness.
Yeah, Yasmin is the next big thing coming out of Mexico. And I like how they did this card. As you can see, they got a lot of Mexicans and a lot of Australians. They know what they're doing because if you look at the main event and the co-main event, it's Mexico versus Australia. You feel me? Or Mexico versus Mexico or something like that. But yeah, Yasmin, she 2-0 in the UFC. She finished both fights in the first round. She got a lot of hype. Denise Gomes, I remember seeing her coming off the Contender Series. She won on the Contender Series, got her contract. I think she 1-1 in the UFC. She won her last fight, but she lost the first. That first fight she lost, she did take it on like 10 days notice. So, you know, Dana White loved them athletes that's willing to step up and do the company favors and whatnot. But I don't know. I feel like this might be one of them cards, so one of them fights, so I might sprinkle a few dollars on Denise Gomez, but I wouldn't like just because of the odds. You get what I'm saying? But I don't really, like I said, I only seen Yasmin fight twice, and I saw Denise 3 times, so I can't really. It's hard for me to pick, but I don't know. I was trying to get off the fence. If I had to pick, I'm gonna just say Denise because I've seen her more, and I feel like she's well-rounded. Yasmin, she's just gonna come in with strikes, and she kind of like chaotic with it. So I don't know if she's gonna be able to weather that storm. But if Denise weather that storm, I know she kind of well-rounded. So I could see her letting the girl gas out and then taking the W in the later round.
Yeah, I don't know too much about either fighter. But Yasmin, it was kind of like the hype. She got like hype train behind her. I feel like it's gonna go either one or two ways. Either she gonna finish Denise within the first round, or within like the first 2 minutes of the second round, or she gonna empty out her gas tank. Because I feel like either way she gonna just let it all go real early. And if Denise can weather the early storm and take it into the third round, then I see her winning by decision. Because I feel like Yasmin, I could be wrong, but I feel like her gas tank might diminish a little bit if the fight go to the later rounds. But I think she'll get the finish in the first round.
So
yeah, in this fight, my bad. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, because I'm just as we're on the women. I want to I got a thought that I got to bring up.
I was gonna say with this fight right here, it's one of those fights where it's just like I'm gonna just sit back and entertain, and questions will be answered about either woman. You feel me? Like I'm just looking to get to learn more about both of these fighters.
So, I mean, there's no secret. Ronda Rousey is coming up on the end of her contract, and you know, there's no signs that she's going to resign.
No.
Neither do we need her to resign. My question is, have you heard any rumblings of her probably wanting to come back to the UFC?
I think she wants to stay as far away from the UFC as possible.
Yeah,
especially now the game has evolved so much, and the way she went out is like I don't think her psyche could take another loss. To be honest with you.
yeah, that's what I was going to say. Honestly, it's not that. I don't think like when she lost those 2 fights, it wasn't, you know, that she was defeated physically. It was more so it was mentally too, especially with the Amanda Nunes fight. And then she was just because she was so high and mighty, and like we didn't picture her losing like that, you know. And then she got knocked out by Holm and then destroyed by Nunes within the first round. So I don't think she should come back. I honestly don't think she will come back.
You don't think though that it's gonna be that is gonna be that last ditch? Like, man, I don't like how I went out, man. I want to go out on my shield. I want to go out on my own terms. I want to be the fighter that comes back and gives it the puncher's chance.
If she do come back, I'll support her, you know. And I hope that she will win, depending on who she fight. But like my brother said, the game has evolved so much. You just can't start and go grapple somebody and get a headlock takedown and just start punching them and win the fight no more the way she did before against Sarah McMahon, you know.
Okay, I'm glad you said that. Do you think her style doesn't work anymore? Because none of these women, since we've been doing this show and I've been watching clips and watching, you know, highlights and stuff, none of these women do what she does anymore.
Yeah, I think the game has evolved too much, and I think her style it won't work in today's UFC. The game, I feel like the game.
And my bad. But just to comment on what Ricardo was saying, I give her shine. You feel me? She's definitely a Hall of Famer, and she paid her dues. She paved the way for all the females in the UFC. Females, Dana wasn't gonna have female fighters in the UFC, and then Ronda Rousey and Miesha Tate came along and they made it happen. But like Ronda Rousey, I don't think she's a fighter by the definition. And what I mean by that is like, yeah, when she going in there and not getting much resistance, it's like it's a cakewalk for her and she thrives in that. But it's like when she actually has to fight and persevere through adversity, it's like you see the look on her face change and she just and then even with that, it's like what Trevor, what you said as far as her wanting to go out on her shield. And I feel like if she had that mentality, she would have never went to the WWE. But it's like when she take her losses, she don't do no interviews. She get ghost. She get missing. She be depressed. She get mad when people talk about it. And she even said that she was suicidal. So it's like I really don't see her like wanting to come back and go through that. Now the only thing I could possibly see is if they signed her up to fight Miesha Tate again because Miesha Tate is back. So I feel like she'll take a fight like that.
You took the words. I'm finna ask you that. Honestly, if she fought Miesha Tate, I wouldn't be shocked if she won. The way Miesha Tate been looking lately. But if you put her against somebody like Tatiana Suarez or something like that, then I think they'll run through her.
So, Mike, this comment.
Hey, I love that comment.
Yeah, this comment from Mike is that kick to the head was her death. That was the Holly Holm kick. And then Nunes just put the dirt on her collar. Yeah, because Nunes, I think when that Nunes loss took her soul from out of her. And that Holly Holm was more like, damn, I talked all this crap and then the preacher's daughter kicked my ass. But then that Nunes fight, it was like, because when you look at Ronda's face, she thought that she could beat Nunes. Like when you watch that fight and she came out, you thought that she thought, like the look on her face, she was like, yeah, I could beat this woman. I mean, a couple seconds later, she realized that wasn't true, but that was
and
the look.
You know why she felt that way? Because Kat Zingano beat Nunes and Ronda beat Kat. So she felt like, but MMA mouth don't add up all the time, and that was the perfect comment by Mike. Like he couldn't have said it no better than that.
Yeah,
please don't tell him that.
Mike, but Ronda, she's a bully, but in a good way, not in a bad way. She's a bully where, you put her in a situation like my brother said, where she can take advantage of the other person and just dominate the person. She's better at being the hammer and not, the nail.
See, but this comment by Mike, I don't agree with. He's saying that Ronda's like a dragon, exceptional at what she did, but the MMA game can't be dominated by one technique master. I mean, John Jones would beg to differ. Hell, John Jones is very well rounded. But Cormier did the same thing.
But when you see what happened, like towards the end of when you meet up with Stipe, who was a wrestler that's an awesome boxer, it's like a lot of times when you got a wrestler versus a wrestler, a la Kobe Covington and bro, we were just talking about this. Kobe Covington and Kamaru Usman, when you got two wrestlers, a lot of times they don't even try to grapple. They just go to the striking.
Cancels out.
And so it's like, yeah, it cancels out. And so I feel like DC and a lot of that stuff he did, he was naturally a heavyweight, but he was doing it to light heavyweight. It's like when he came back to the heavyweight division, yeah, he won the belt against Stipe, but out of the three, he lost two. So I don't know. Like I kind of. But I feel like when you look at them Dagestanis, they definitely dominate what wrestling does.
I mean, you can have some success with it. It's just debatable whether you can be a champion and sustain that championship level. Because look at Damian Maia. He was a specialist. He was a good UFC fighter and Hall of Famer, but he was never champion. He probably never will be champion. Charles Oliveira, he was a submission specialist, but he eventually evolved his game to become more well-rounded, and that's when he got the belt. So, and it's debatable. I think it works, but as far as championship level and sustaining it, it's debatable.
So
I
Ricardo's
think it also
asking,
depends on the weight class.
Ricardo's asking, do you feel she's become too antiquated for the newer girls coming into the UFC? Absolutely, absolutely. Her style is archaic. That judo, like she literally just looks for the judo throw and the arm bar. I mean, these women now are just knocking your block off. I mean, I watched the fight. I watched the fight. I don't know what it was, but it just kept coming up in my suggestions, and I'm like, holy crap! Like these women, man. Wow, wow.
Hey, you need to watch that fight I sent you.
Wait a minute, which fight was this?
Zhang Wei Li versus Joanna.
Okay, yeah, I haven't watched that yet. Let's see where are we going now. So okay, this must be a last minute replacement in a welterweight bout. Number 14, Jack Della Maddalena versus Josiah Harold. They don't even got a picture for old Josiah, and no odds.
All right.
Either.
Go ahead, brother.
I'm gonna take off on this one first because I have to. Jack Della Maddalena. I'm changing my last name to Della Maddalena, y'all. Hey, I saw him in the UFC his first fight, and I looked at my brother, I looked at my girl, and I looked at everybody else who made eye contact with me, and I say, that guy right there is your future lightweight champion, welterweight champion. Since then, he's been on a tear, undefeated in the UFC, 4-0, all finishes. I've seen him go through adversity. I don't think I'll ever pick against him. And he was supposed to fight Sean Brady, who was like 18-0. He suffered a defeat against Bilal Muhammad. His last fight, and he hasn't fought since. Yep. He hasn't fought since. Like, I think 2 days ago, Sean Brady got a bad staph infection. Like, his elbow looked like it got a grapefruit in it. And so he pulled out of the fight. Lucky him. And Josiah Harrell is the LFA welterweight champ. I think he like 8-0 or something like that, but he gonna get slumped. It's just as simple as that. He gonna get slumped. Like Jack Della Maddalena's footwork is so crisp. He's so accurate with his punches. He don't waste no energy trying to throw everything into each and every punch. He's just like a smooth criminal, and he got some good grappling defense, submission defense. I seen him in the guillotine that had him dead to rights, and he came out of it and pounded Buddy to sleep. We even thinking about attempting to submit him. So I'm going Jack Della Maddalena all day. Your future welterweight champion.
You got a finish, I'm assuming, bro. What round you got?
It won't go past the midway point. So if it's 3 rounds, I say I give him no longer than 2 minutes and 30 seconds into the second.
All right. 2 things my brother said. As far as Jack, no wasted motion. You know, like every punch you throw, he got intentions behind it. He's not just wasting his energy. He's very fluid with it, and he has amazing footwork. His footwork is real good. I was really looking forward to him fighting Sean Brady, because that would have moved him up in the rankings. And I feel like he would have definitely beat Sean Brady. But fighting Josiah Harrell, I feel like he's gonna knock him out. I would say maybe in the first or second round. I'm looking forward to it, and I feel like he can be. What's up?
No, go ahead.
No. I was just saying I feel like he can be a future champion too, and I'm looking forward to just his. I'm looking forward to watching him just grow in the UFC and his rise.
I was gonna say that's one thing that I always enjoy. Like when you see somebody and you watch them progress through the rankings. Now I'm gonna just say this: his last fight was his biggest test against Randy Brown, and he knocked out Randy Brown in the first round. And after that fight, Rude Boy Randy Brown. After that fight, they tried to match him up with Vicente Luque. No, he didn't want it. He pulled out of a fight. Now they matching him up with Sean Brady. He pulled out. The staff is real, so I can't really say he just didn't want to fight him. But I feel like it's gonna be he gonna get to a point, especially with lower in the rankings, but those top guys not gonna want to put their number on the line against him.
I was
So I
just
think he's gonna get to a point where it's hard for him to find fights.
Yeah, I just finished it. Even though he's trying to have a slow track, I feel like he's going to have to fight somebody that's a lot higher than him as a late replacement or something like that, because nobody in the top 5 or top 10 is going to want to fight him. You know, they're not going to put their ranking on the line and lose against him.
Which
And
I think
again,
is,
you got another
I think is
Australian in there. It is. And again, you got another Australian thrown in there too. Just pay attention to that.
That's the reason why you have bookers. A booker can't, like, you can't say, hey, I don't want to fight this up and comer just because I don't want to lose. I don't want to be the guy that he puts to sleep. Like, so why are you in the top 10 then?
Yep, it's usually their managers. It's a lot of times it's the fighters too, but a lot of times it's their managers. But like you say, it's up to the booker to. Sometimes you got to just put your foot down. I feel like.
And don't get it twisted. They don't say, I don't want to fight him and put my number on the line. They say, oh, I'm injured. They say, oh, well, yeah, I'll fight him, but make it this much so they can price themselves out. They say other things which translate to, I'm not putting my number on the line against this guy because, the rank says 14 and I'm number 5 or 6, but if I lose to him, then it's like, damn, I'm falling all the way down.
And
they don't come out and say I don't want to fight him because of this, because they can't say that because pride and all that. So they say other things.
Also, think about it. If you somebody like Beneil Dariush or Bilal Muhammad, who you got one fight away, and you're on the 8-9 fight winning streak, and they're already trying to give you a hard time about getting a title shot. You fight this guy and you lose. That's like a 2-year setback. As far as getting back to the title. So.
When is my boy Bilal Muhammad gonna get a title shot? Like, that's all I care about.
I think he's fighting the winner of his next fight should be for the title. Actually, he's waiting on the title fight to happen now to see who it's gonna be.
Because he the guy who let you tell it. You just got to see more. You ain't seen enough. He never showed.
Right.
He
I
never
don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. Even with the last fight, I feel like, damn, but Gilbert threw his shoulder out. He looked good though, but I mean, I don't know. I will say this though. He's a pretty cool dude. He seemed like he's a pretty cool dude. Like, I met him one time. He wasn't like Sean Brady, where he was acting like he was the best thing smoking. He actually stopped and went out of his way to speak, say hi, what's up.
All right, so in the last fight of the prelims, okay, so the aforementioned Robbie Lawler versus Nico Price. So Robbie Lawler is a big underdog here. But what? So you said Robbie Lawler's fight went into the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, against Rory McDonald, classic fight. That's a fight where he was spitting out blood and Rory broke his nose. It was brutal, nasty, bloody, and amazing.
So why is he such a big underdog against this guy?
Because he hasn't been looking good lately. In his last fight, he fought, ironically, a year ago in last year's International Fight Week against Brian Bam Bam Barberena, and he was looking good, but he ended up getting knocked out, or TKO'd actually. So, he hasn't been. He not the prime Robbie Lawler. So this is gonna be his retirement fight.
Yeah, you got to think he's been fighting for over 20 years, so
especially with his.
I feel like they're looking at him like he on the way out. Go ahead.
Now, as far as this fight, Nico Price, he's one of my personal favorite fighters because he used to fight down here in the local MMA promotions that I worked for sometimes. So I seen him fight a lot of times down here. So watching him go to the UFC was real cool. He a straight brawler. He finna either get knocked out or knock you out. He finna come straight forward. He don't give a damn about nothing. He don't care about the consequences, and he's just a fan favorite. And that's why they put this fight as the prelim, the main event of the prelim. But usually, I'm a Robbie Lawler fan, and being that this is a retirement fight, I would like to see him go out good. But it's just he going against the wrong guy for me, and I'm a huge Nico Price fan. So I'm gonna go with Nico Price to knock out Robbie Lawler. And the classic is gonna be fight of the night. He might even get knocked out tonight. Who knows? But he gonna knock him out in the second round. It's gonna be a brawl, a straight up brawl.
Man,
Well,
you got the man really going out on his shield, huh?
Yeah.
hey, that's the only way he go out. This fight right here is going to be violence personified. I think Robbie is a little bit more technical than Nico. Nico is just like straight up, let's trade. Robbie, even though he's a little technical, a little more technical, he's older. I feel like he's a little slower, but he's very crafty. And I don't know why the odds are so lopsided. I get having Nico as the favorite, but I don't think it should be that much. So, based off of what I see, I feel like if Robbie Lawler could kind of like just weather the storm at first and use his craftiness and his experience, I feel like he can pull off this win. I like Robbie by decision.
I don't think there's no way this fight going to a decision. No way.
I mean, I look at it like this: Bam Bam couldn't put him out, and I feel like Bam Bam got a little more power than Nico. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, Nico do got power too, but I just feel like Robbie, like they say, the chin is like the first thing to go, but he still got his. You get what I'm saying? And so I just feel like it's gonna be a drawn out war. Nico Price got a hell of a chin too. Only time he ever really gets stopped is if it's a doctor stoppage or something like that, or a TKO. I never really seen him go out. Only person I ever saw put Robbie Lawler out was Nick Diaz and Tyron Woodley. So I don't know. Like I could see a decision happening.
So
if Robbie wins, that's how he does it.
Here's my question, because I always got to ask one. Like, how does it feel being the guy? Like, is that a fighter's dream to be the guy that sends the legend out on his shield? Like, so now is this Nico Price guy coming in here like, I'm about to destroy him and get him out of my business forever?
I'm sure Nico looks at it as an honor for the UFC to put him in this spot and have him fight Robbie Lawler. And also, yeah, you got to look at it as he got to make a name for himself. He got 5 or 6 kids, so he got to get that win bonus. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like he probably see it as like who wouldn't want that name, that skin on their wall? You know what I'm saying, Robbie Lawler. So I feel like he probably look at it in that sense of like this is. I'm glad I got the opportunity to get that skin on my wall before he retired, because this is his retirement fight. So I would just like to see him. I would like to see him. Maybe I'm picking with my heart, but I would like to see him go out with a W. But we all know you usually go down looking at the lights.
All right, so now we're on the main card, bro. I swear this guy is on every single fight card that we previewed. Or you got Bo Nickel in the middleweight. Holy crap! In the middleweight bout,
You saw the odds.
Yeah, wow. Bo Nickel versus Val Woodburn. Again, this is a guy who they don't show his picture. Is this a last minute replacement?
Absolutely, making his UFC debut.
Look at these odds, minus 1,300.
Bo Nickel is a Olympic wrestler. That's why.
And it goes back to what Ricardo was saying about being a one-trick pony. Or maybe it was Mike, I don't know, but being a one-trick pony. Bo Nickel is a wrestler. That's what he's going to do. Olympic gold medalist. He came straight out from the Olympics to the UFC. I think he's like 4-0.
Yeah.
They're trying to build him slow. He was originally supposed to fight Tresean Gore. Tresean Gore pulled out at the last second, and they got some guy who wasn't even in the UFC. I think he's a champion in another organization, 7-0 or 8-0 or something like that. But so I mean, you can't really. I mean, you don't know what you don't know, and nobody knows anything about Val Woodburn. So with that being said, I mean, you got to go with Bo Nickel, but from Val Woodburn's perspective, imagine your dream is to fight in the UFC. and you working towards that for however long you working towards it, and then you're not in the UFC, but you're doing good on the local scene. All of a sudden, the UFC call you, hey, do you want to kick off the pay-per-view of International Fight Week against a name like Bo Nickel? So it's like, win or lose, I feel like this is a dream come true for him. If you have a good showing, they're going to bring him back, especially considering he took the fight on the last minute notice. So if you look decent and don't get finished in the first round or put up a fight, show some resistance, they're probably going to be like, all right, let's see what you can do with a full training camp. But on the flip side, Bo Nickel, it's like one of those trap fights. Like he can't go in there and just like, I don't know. I wonder if he's going to underestimate him. And with Bo Nickel, I'm waiting to see either if he's going to like fizzle out and it was all hype, or is he going to be like the next Brock Lesnar, or it's like he's going to exceed what I even think is possible. I feel like it's going to be one of the two. Either he going to fall on his face or he going to break the ceiling.
So who you got, bro?
But I'm going Bo Nickel by submission.
Bro, you gotta give $1,300 to win 100.
That's insane.
Like, think about that, man. This is where I say this is where I say that at some point you gotta have some integrity, because this is fighting we're talking about. This isn't wrestling. This isn't basketball or anything like that, where the risk of injury is the serious injury ain't that great, outside blowing your knee out. You got a guy that's minus 1,300. If this was boxing and a guy was favored by this much, I don't think the commission would sign that fight, because they think they'd kill the other guy.
You know why I think they did sign off on it?
What this is saying is that this guy is such at a disadvantage. He shouldn't even be in this ring.
Hey, but add to why he's such a favorite. His first fight in the UFC, he fought, I believe it was Jamie Pickett, and he's not a slouch. He's kind of like a UFC veteran. So being that he already did that to a UFC veteran, that's also why the odds are so favorite for Bo Nickel.
And Jamie Pickett is a veteran, but he's never been ranked as well. But
right.
Me personally, I feel like the reason why the commission signed off on this fight is because dude has twice as many fights. Bo Nickel's 4-0 with only 2 fights in the UFC, whereas Val Woodburn is 8-0 with this is first UFC fight. So it's like really, it's more so the hype, I think, that got the number like that.
Yeah,
because like dude has more experience and he has twice as many fights, twice as many wins. So
yeah.
I mean, hey, at the end of the day, he don't got nothing to lose too.
It's not like they're giving him some slouch. I mean, he's just somebody that we don't know. Val Woodburn, because he is undefeated, and I have my brother say he has twice as many fights as Bo Nickel. So, but at the end of the day, I got Bo Nickel controlling the fight and winning by decision.
Do you think the team in the what the hell is this? What the hell was this recreational football league that they just played? USFL. Do you think the team, if a team went undefeated and won the championship in the USFL, do you think they could line up against the Steelers and beat them?
I don't think nobody can line up against the Steelers and beat them. So,
and that's why I said the Steelers, because I wasn't. Okay. Do you think they could line up against the Jaguars and beat them?
I don't think so.
Exactly. This guy's 8-0 in other fighting leagues. Is a reason why the UFC is the top dog. I'm just.
But Bo Nickel is 1-0 in the UFC. So it's like, it's not like he's been there doing his thing. You get what I'm saying? He had 2 fights outside, 1 fight, 3 fights outside, 1 fight inside.
Yeah, this is the one I got to pay close attention to. I just hope this guy makes it out. I mean, because when you looking at odds, odds normally, like in fighting, when a matchmaker makes a fight like this, is because they don't like the other guy and they want to see him taken out in the ring. Like it's that lopsided.
And generally, I do see your point. Like in most cases, I would be like, what the hell? And by the way, too, a little interesting side note. They say this is the most lopsided odds in UFC history. This fight right here.
I could imagine. All right, so up next, again, this another guy. I feel like we talked about him at least 2 other times. You got number 11 in the lightweight bout. In the lightweight bout, you got number 11 Jalen Turner versus number 12 Dan Hooker. Like, I really feel like we just talked about Jalen Turner maybe 2 fights ago.
Yeah,
and remember when and there's a reason why I'm going to keep bringing this up when I hear these fighters that we just recently talked about. So if I don't get to it, and y'all gonna obviously see what I'm going to be talking about, but if I don't get to it by the end, remind me, because I gotta make a point on it.
Yeah, these 2 were scheduled to fight before, and the fight got canceled. And Jalen Turner ended up fighting, I believe it was Mataj Gamera, I believe. And he lost that fight by decision. I'm very interested in this fight. Dan Hooker, I'm a big fan of his. He's somebody else that brings it. He got good striking. He uses the knees very well. I'm very interested to see what's going to happen in this fight because Jalen, he's very lengthy too for the division for a lightweight, and he uses his range very well too. At the end of the day, I think this can also has potential to be fight of the night, but I'm gonna have to pick Jalen Turner by decision.
All right. Well, again, you got somebody else from New Zealand. Dan Hooker actually trains with Alexander Volkanovski. They from the same camp. This is a fight that I was looking forward to when they made it the first time. Like Bone said, Dan Hooker pulled out. They gave him Matthias Gamrot, which was really a bad matchup stylistically for Jalen Turner. That being said, he did a lot better than I thought he was going to do in that fight. He lost by decision. His stock didn't go down. Jalen Turner is a finisher. He is definitely a finisher. Dan Hooker, I feel like he's been taking a lot of damage lately. At one point, he was on track to be like a top 5 lightweight, and then he ran into a man named Dustin Poirier. They went through an all-out war. Hooker lost that fight. Hasn't really been the same since. I think he's lost. I think he's been finished in like 4 of his last 6 fights. But I see Jalen Turner doing more of the same, finishing him. It will be an exciting matchup. I'm interested to see how Jalen Turner deal with somebody who almost as long as him and that's going to stand and strike with him. Dan Hooker do got some good knees and elbows, but so does Jalen Turner. I feel like Jalen Turner is a little more well-rounded because he got some submissions under his belt too. As a matter of fact, Jalen Turner also submitted Dan Hooker's teammate, Brad Riddell, in a fight that everybody thought Brad Riddell was going. I think that was Jalen Turner's breakout performance. So I'm looking forward to see this fight. I think Jalen Turner gonna win. I think he'll probably get a finish.
And normally with these matchups like this, you normally in like NFL and NBA, you get the 4-5 matchup. So a matchup like this in 11-12 is pretty much saying that they're a wash with one another. So, you know, they're separated by a point, you know, and switching places. So, you know, they one isn't that much better than the other one. So
yeah, and we both said they both are very lanky and they both use their range very well and got some very dangerous knees. So I'm very interested to see how this going to counteract.
I think Turner is faster than him though, and like I say, like he's a finisher. I feel like after this fight, he'll be able to burst into the top 10. I can't think off the top of my head what the top 10 looking like, but I feel like definitely, especially if you get a finish, they could probably match him up with like 8 or 7 or something like that. Dan Hooker, he's looking to get back in the top 10. I feel like he got more to lose than Jalen Turner because Jalen Turner's on the rise, whereas Dan Hooker's trying to come back up. So, but that lightweight division is killer because, I mean, you got Ilia Topuria who just did his thing. You got Arnold Allen, Max Holloway. It's like that. That's one of the, like, I mean, no, not Max Holloway. I'm thinking about featherweight, but still, that's one of the marquee divisions, that lightweight division.
You got Gaethje, Poirier, Charles Oliveira, Beneil Dariush,
Makhachev, the champ.
Y'all doing pretty good. So number 10 is Diego Fiera. Number 9 is Armin, that guy. Number 8 is
Gamrot.
Yeah, Gamrot. Number 7 is Michael Chandler. Number 6 is Rafael Fiziev. Number 5 is Beneil Dariush. Number 4 is Justin Gaethje. Number 3 is Dustin Poirier. Number 2, Charles Oliveira, and Islam Makhachev is number 1.
Yeah, I feel like he just fought Gamrot, and I wouldn't mind seeing that again, but I don't think they're gonna do that because I feel like Gamrot not trying to fight down because he just did that. So him and Fiziev would be a good match, even though Fiziev number 6. Sarukian, he could even fight Sarukian, but Sarukian and Gamrot, damn, they're like the same fighter. But I feel like that he need to fight some wrestlers because on the way to the top, the champion is Makhachev. I would like to see him fight a wrestler just to see if he improved since the Gamrot fight.
So this is the okay, so this is the third from the top. So you got hold on, because I got multiple screens open. So in the middleweight bout, we got number 2 Robert Whittaker. He just seems to just sit in that position no matter what. And against number 5 Dricus du Plessis. Now I've heard this du Plessis name because I think Zay has been bragging about this guy for the longest. So is this your guy?
No, that's more my guy. Bobby Knuckles, who is Robert Whittaker, that's my brother's guy, Robert Whittaker. But the thing is, he lost against Israel Adesanya twice, so that's why he's logged jam and just stuck at that position because we don't really want to see him fight a third time. The first time he got knocked out. The second time, it was more competitive, but Israel took the decision. So basically, the middleweight division needs more parity because Israel Adesanya is just like Thanos, just basically just destroying the entire middleweight universe, and he needs some more competition. And we need, I would like to see him fight somebody new. He already fought Bobby Knuckles and beat him twice, Robert Whittaker. Dricus du Plessis, he's from South Africa, and Israel is a native Nigerian. So I want Dricus to win this fight, decisively and impressively, and then I want to see him fight Israel in Africa, UFC Africa for the first time ever, and then put Kamaru Usman in the co-main event against Khamzat Chimaev. So I'm gonna pick with my heart here. I'm gonna pick Dricus du Plessis to win by decision, but convincingly. I don't see him finishing Bobby Knuckles. Only person that can finish him is Israel, and he only did it once. So yeah, I got Dricus winning this fight. And this is by far going to be his biggest test because his last fight was against Derek Brunson and he won that fight. But this is by far, his biggest test because Robert Whittaker basically beats everybody except Israel. So go ahead, bro.
Well, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say, if your name ain't Israel Adesanya, you can't beat Robert Whittaker. Ask Yoel Romero. Ask everybody else in the middleweight division. Ask Marvin Vettori. Ask Jared Cannonier. Like, if your name is not Israel Adesanya, you will lose to Robert Whittaker. Thing is, Adesanya called out du Plessis And they told Duplessis, all right, you don't got a top 10 win, you don't got a top 5 win, I should say. So if you beat Robert Whittaker, you get the title shot. Now, here's the problem that I have. So they made a deal with, I think, New Zealand, Australia, and they're supposed to have a fight card in September. And Israel Adesanya is part of that deal where he's going to be in the main event. So I think it's a huge ask for either one of these two fighters because this will be a violent fight. Dricus Duplessis gets his ass whooped in every fight that he's in, and he comes out with a finish some kind of way. He just pull it out. He also looked like he had stamina issues, but he had a messed up nose. He just recently got that fixed, so I feel like he'll be able to up his output as if his output is already crazy. He got a crazy output, but I feel like he's gonna up it. But my thing is, after this fight, I don't feel like it's fair to ask somebody to fight Adesanya in 6 weeks or 7 weeks or however long it is. Heal up from this, go through a training camp and fight Adesanya. I feel like they should let Adesanya fight Sean Strickland. And then the winner of that fight, which will be Adesanya, should fight the winner of this fight. But it'll be more fair to Robert Whittaker because that's who's going to win. But and again, I'm not sleeping on Dricus. I respect him. I'm a fan, but when it comes down to it, bro, and Robert Whittaker is stuck at number 2 because nobody can beat him except for the champ. I don't even know who number 1 would be considered right now because Poatan left the division, so I don't know who number 1 is, but he can get it too. As far as Robert Whittaker is concerned.
Technically, they still got put in.
I guess they're gonna have him at number 1 until he actually fight. Since he moved up to light heavyweight. So yeah. And Hamzat was supposed to be put in this division, but he ain't fight yet. So I don't know what's going on with that. I know they're waiting for him for October. But the only thing is, a lot of people, I don't know if how they're gonna sell that pay-per-view because nobody wants to see Whittaker and Adesanya fight again. The second fight they had was very competitive. You can argue. Matter of fact, Trevor, I think you watched that with us. You could argue that Robert Whittaker won that fight, but I don't think it was Robert
Whittaker winning that.
Yeah, I thought he won too, but it wasn't egregious enough for me to argue it. You get what I'm saying? So I feel like, and nobody really want to see a third fight between those two. And Adesanya as a champ, they got to be aggravating fighting the same guys over and over because it's just a law of averages. We fight 10 times, eventually you're going to get 1. You get what I'm saying? And then if Robert Whittaker do beat Adesanya, of course they're going to give it a rematch, and that's going to make it a 4th time, and it's going to get old.
So yeah. Israel is ranked number 1 in that division. I guess they had a champion ranked at number 1.
Nah, usually they had a champion as champ, but I don't know. I guess they because they had to remove Alex Pereira.
Yeah, see, they have Pereira at number 3, and this is coming from MMARankings.com. Yeah, so you got Derek Brunson at 9, Driscus. Yeah, okay, so this hasn't been updated because Driscus they have him at 8, and he's 5 now. So yeah, it hasn't been updated yet. Yeah, see, they got him at 5 on the UFC's website, but the other site they have him at 8. So that hasn't been updated yet.
Overall, I agree with what Bruce said. I feel like because they got Adesanya fighting in September, it isn't fair for either one of these guys to go through this war tonight and then in a couple weeks, fight Adesanya. So being that Sean Strickland is on a 2-fight winning streak and he just knocked out the Dagestani last week, I feel like he should get the title shot next, and then the winner of this could get the fight next. I just hope it's not Robert Whittaker because I don't. Yeah.
And not for nothing, Sean Strickland he's been a company man, doing a lot of favors. He's been stepping up short notice to take fights.
Yep.
Catch weights and all that type of stuff. So I feel like go ahead. And in the last fight he lost, Cannonier, you could argue that he won that one. So I feel like they should go ahead and give it to him. I mean, he'll get smoked, but they'll be able to promote that fight real good because they're both like good on the mic. They're gonna talk a lot of shit. I mean, I'm sorry, they're gonna talk a lot, but I don't know. We can move on.
Well, so I wanted to say because Bones mentioned parody, and Wednesday, me and Venkat had one of our millions of arguments about parody because he's a big fan of parody in the NBA, whereas with me, I'm okay with just having dominance. Like, just be dominant until somebody could beat you. Like, that's, I mean, we had to deal with it with the Patriots for so long. They were just dominant till somebody could beat them. I mean, you had the Lakers had their runs, the Bulls had their runs. At some point, John Jones is on an epic run. I mean, somebody has to be able to beat you. You can't just say, let's have parity for parity's sake. No, if somebody is just the tops in their division, they're the dominant force, then that's up to you to beat him. That ain't up to the league to try to make it parity, put parity in the league so is easier on everybody, so everybody has a fair chance, everybody gets a participation trophy. No, if you're bad enough, you go and you beat the champion, and that's it. Like, I that's why it was funny you said parody. Like, me and Venkat just had this argument Wednesday about parody. Like, he's so against, he was so happy that Denver won the championship because he's like, oh, they never won it, and it's a story and the show's parody, and who cares? Who cares?
I feel like I agree with you, especially when it comes to like sports where you don't script the outcome. It's like you got to go by meritocracy, not parody. You get what I'm saying?
Hey, but look, even if you lose to the champion twice, I don't want to see that fight again. That's just what it is.
Well, yeah, he needs to get the hell on, but
overall, like, I have nothing against Adesanya dominating the division. It's just I just don't want to see rematches constantly.
Because who was that back in the day dominated UFC? What did they call him, Mighty Mouse or something like that?
Demetrius Johnson, yeah,
Demetrius Johnson was like on a 13 fight championship defense. Like, it was crazy.
Yeah.
But if nobody could beat him, then what do you do?
And you know what they did? They traded him to one FC, and they traded for Ben Askren because Askren was over there doing the same thing Mighty Mouse was doing over here in the UFC. Mighty Mouse went to one FC, and he's doing the same thing he did in the UFC. And I feel like he's one of those fighters that don't get the shine that he deserves because he's not flashy. He don't talk a lot. He's not like trying to sell himself. He all strictly about the combat and the competition. So it's like fighters like that. He's not like a Conor McGregor where he's super brash and going to insult you. He's extremely respectable, humble, and he just go to work and he win and move on.
So I see Angel popped up in the chat. So it just made me just think of an example. So in the debate league, we have MD and Good God Allah. Because of the time they came in and just the luck of the draw, the way it happened, they ended up having to debate one another 3 times. But the law of averages says that the better person is going to win that series. So if you're the champion, then beat the champion. Don't make it to where it's like, oh, we got to have parity and oh, the champion is dominant, but we should do things to make the champion not be so dominant. And let's try to weaken them at this point. So let's give them a fight that'll weaken them. And then the guy that's better can come and get him while he's reeling. Nah, if you're the champion, beat the champion. Like, that's all I'm saying. Like, I'm totally for dynasties in sports. If there's a team, and again, I'm a Dolphin fan. I had to deal with it with the Patriots. The Patriots went to like 11 Super Bowls. I mean, like, that's crazy. But nobody could beat them. When they were putting up 60 points on the Dolphins, I couldn't say, oh man, I sure wish there was some parity. No, I'm saying get better, get a better football team so that you could field a team on the field that could beat them. Like you can't, we can't criticize John Jones because nobody could beat him. I'm gonna get to my John Jones criticism soon, but we can't criticize Adesanya because nobody could beat him. And I know y'all not criticizing him. I'm just saying the UFC can't do anything about that.
It's funny you said that because as you're speaking, it makes me think about Aljamain Sterling. For some reason, Dana White got something against this guy. And just like how I was saying, it would be unfair to make one of these two guys fight Adesanya in September, considering the short turnaround they have for him, whereas Adesanya last fought in April. Aljamain Sterling fought Henry Cejudo like 2 pay-per-views ago, and a 5-round fight. And his very next fight is I think they gave him like 9 weeks to turn around and fight Sean O'Malley, and they was giving him hell about like, oh, you gonna take the fight or not? You gonna take the fight or not? And calling him out, criticizing him because he was saying he wanted some time to decompress before he went right back into a training camp. But he said, you know what, bump it, let's run it. And so I really hope that blows up in Dana White's face, just because, I mean, like, he don't do none of his other champions that way. Yeah, obviously trying to get the belt off of Aljo. So I hope that he go in and destroy Sean O'Malley and show him that, like, with all odds stacked against me, I'm still just that guy.
Yep, I agree.
Dana White got some issues though. Like I think I don't know. He always treats his champions like if you're not a champion that's going in there fighting every week and finishing people and stuff like that, it's like he doesn't respect the arts of mixed martial arts. I remember he used to always criticize. He couldn't criticize GSP because GSP was his one of his cash cows at a point, but he never liked GSP's style because GSP never finished anybody. So he would always be like, yeah, you know, you don't leave it up to, he'd always just throw in a little shot every now and then. But I noticed that with him, if you're not a champion that finishes somebody, then he always throws little cheap shots at you because I don't feel like he respects the artistry of what goes into this.
And meanwhile, Aljo finished. He finished 2 of his last 3 fights. No, he finished. One of his last. He finished TJ Dillashaw. You don't really get a lot of, but he's the finisher. He strangled a lot of people, but for some reason it's just they don't click. I don't know what it is. It'd be so obvious. At first, I used to think Aljo was just crying all the time about it, but then when you see stuff like this, it shows. Yeah, they really want that strap up off you.
Yeah, and I hate to see that. But then, like you said, that really makes me hope that he thrashed O'Malley.
All right, so we get to the co-main right now, but before I get to that, because I know I'll forget before the show ends. So, 4 months ago, we did the first show ever, just period, on this channel. First live stream was done 4 months ago on this channel, and it was with the 3 of us. That was 4 months ago. I had to go back and check the date. You know what the main event of that card was?
John Jones.
No, what was it?
That was John Jones versus Gane. That was 4 months ago. So now when I said that I'm looking at this card and I'm like, damn, I feel like I talked about this guy twice. I feel like I talked about this guy once before. And I was like, yeah, there's something I'm going to say at the end. We have our champion, John Jones. First of all, is John Jones injured?
No.
So John Jones isn't injured. John Jones won the belt 4 months ago. So you mean to tell me of the top 15 ranked heavyweights, they can't give him somebody?
Yeah, that goes to what I was saying.
Yeah.
That goes to what I was saying earlier as far as Stipe. If Stipe don't want to fight, then I was saying they should just move on and give it to my Russian guy.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. but I feel like it's a two-part answer to that question. All right, one, the fight that they're trying to get, the fight they want, which is John Jones versus Stipe. Looks like Stipe is having a problem. I agree with my brother. They should just move on and give it to somebody else because there's plenty of people who will love that fight. But the second part to that question, to that is John Jones. I feel like he gets bored, and so he only really wants big fights. Now, in my opinion, if you carrying my strap, it's not really up to you what you want. If the fighter, if I try to give you what you want and I can't make it happen, you got to defend that belt against somebody because all you're doing is holding up opportunities for the other guys that's in the division.
So every Wednesday, I got to hear these nutcases thrash me about the god of wrestling, Roman Reigns. And I had to sit here and I listened to them. Oh, his title reign isn't that special because he only defend the belt like once every 2 or 3 months or something like that. And now I'm starting to think, I'm like, you know what? His last 2 matches, they were back-to-back, but they were tag team matches. This man now has 3 belts that he's been holding hostage. And I look at the UFC and I'm looking at their heavyweight champion. He's had this belt since 4 months ago. So we're in what, July? So that was March. Yeah, because I think we did this show 2 days. Yeah, we did this show 2 days before I did the show on my birthday. So 2 or 3 days. So he's had the belt since March. And he hasn't defended it. Meanwhile, you have a top 15 list. So why not the criticism for the UFC heavyweight champion just using his belt as a placeholder? He probably, I mean, let's not kid ourselves because I'm not going to kid myself. He probably could damn well beat the ass of everybody in the top 15. That's not the point. The point is, though, it's been 4 months. And the guy hasn't stepped back in the octagon at all. And nobody's raising the knot. Nobody's criticizing him at all. Meanwhile, every Wednesday, I got to hear, oh, your champion doesn't defend his belt. Your champion doesn't defend his belt. Like what?
Well,
and Jones isn't hurt.
I will say this. Now, all right, so I feel like in MMA, you get more leeway just because it's more of a violent thing. But to that, like you said, John Jones isn't hurt. And originally, their plan was for John Jones is supposed to be on this main event right now. You get what I'm saying? So, but Stipe, I don't know what the holdup is. So, but you're right. I don't really hear too many people criticizing John Jones about that. But I think everybody putting it on Stipe. So I don't know what's going on with that. But this was supposed to be a John Jones versus Stipe main event. And then at the last second, when it was taking too long, they were like, all right, that's what we're going to do in November. So that would be almost a year that he will hold that belt before he defended. And then you got somebody like Jamal Hill, who's the light heavyweight champion. He won his belt 6 months ago. And he been calling for like, let me fight this guy, let me fight that guy. Like, I just want to defend my belt. But he's the interim champ. And the guy who was the champ, Yuri Prochazka, he was supposed to be out for like a year with an elbow injury, but apparently the UFC was trying to wait because he was saying he would be ready to go. And so now he's saying he's ready to go. So now they still got to schedule the fight. So it'll probably be another 4 months before Jamal Hill even defend his belt. So I can't really put that on him because he's been calling out people. But so I think that's probably a Dana thing. Like sometimes when they get their mindset on, I want this specific fight because this will bring in the money and I don't want to take a risk in somebody dropping the ball and then we don't get that fight. I think sometimes he hold people off. Meanwhile, you got the Yan Xiaonan, the Chinese fighter who just knocked out Jessica Andrade. They should have put her against the Chinese champion in China, but they got the Chinese champion fighting Amanda Lemos, a Brazilian, in Utah. Like, well, I don't know what they got going on.
They dropped the ball big time on that one. And Sergey Pavlovich is the guy I was thinking about, the heavyweight. He should be the one to fight John Jones next.
Yeah, he's ranked number 3. Well, according to this list. Wow, I thought that said to so according to this list, number 10 is Tai Tuvasi. You got Jaitlin Almeida, Sergey Spivak, Marcin Tibura, Alexander Volkov, Tom Aspinall, Curtis Blades, Sergey Pavlovich, Cyril Gahn. John Jones would probably whoop the ass of all these guys. That's not the point. That's not the point. The point, and Mike, because Mike, I'm telling you, I take criticism every Wednesday from Mike and Venkat about Roman Reigns not defending his belt. But here you just told me John Jones is probably not going to defend that belt till November, which would mean that he'd had it for almost a year without getting back into the ring. Like that's crazy. Like that's not even like how could I look at that champion? And again, this is John Jones, so I know he'd probably beat the ass of everybody. That's not the point. But what I'm saying is, how can you be the champion of something if you don't defend your belt?
I feel like these guys reach a certain level of success, and it's like they just want to chill now. Like, oh yeah, I'll do anything to get it out. And when I get the belt, I'm gonna defend it X amount of times. I'm gonna always defend my belt. I'm gonna knock down every contender, and then they get the belt and be like, all right, I just want to sit on it.
Yeah, most fighters aren't actual fighting champions, so very, very.
And that's one thing. That's one thing I love about Alexander Volkanovski, Israel Adesanya. It's like I really think those guys in that camp are cut from a different cloth, because it's like they say Adesanya headlines like 30% of the UFC's pay-per-views in a year. An active fighter fights 3 times a year. Adesanya be hitting like 4 times and 5 times.
All right, let's go on to the next fight. I ain't want to derail you. I know. I made y'all. They like, damn man, why don't you shut the hell up and answer these damn questions? So in the co-main,
you good. Make the conversation flow.
So in the co-main, we have a flyweight title bout. Number 2, Alexander. How you say his name? Alexander Pantoja versus the champion Brandon Moreno. Who you got, and how does this shake up?
All right, for me, I'm a Brandon Moreno fan. I do like Alejandro Pantoja too. They actually fought before, and Pantoja won the first fight. Brandon Moreno, he's also a fighting champion, and this is part of the International Fight Week. Him being a Mexican, going against the Brazilian. I feel like Brandon Moreno was a much different fighter when they fought the first time. He hadn't hit his stride yet and found his groove. But he matured a lot, inside and outside the octagon. And he's also a fighter who we kind of watched grow inside the octagon. I feel like right now he reached a new level, and he also defeated his biggest threat, which was Davison Figueiredo, and basically got him out of the division. Which is also another thing because they fought, 3 or 4 times, and I was ready for them to move on with that. So I'm excited for this parody or new matchup. Well, what we got right here, even though it's a rematch, but to me, it's a fresh matchup because it was so long ago, and they're both different fighters. And Moreno elevated himself a lot more since. Overall, I got Moreno winning this fight. I'm not sure if he'll get the finish, so I'm gonna go with a decision. It's gonna be very competitive, but I feel like he's gonna mix it up. He's gonna use his takedowns, his good boxing, and everything like that. And I feel like he'll get the decision and keep the belt.
Oh man, this is a fight that I'm looking forward to. I've been wanting it the whole time it was doing Brandon Moreno versus Davison Figueiredo 1 through 4. The whole time I was wanting to see this fight. Pantoja deserves it. I remember Trevor, that one card that we all recently watched, and the dude Brandon Raw Dog Royval, he knocked the dude out with a knee and then a hook.
Yeah.
Pantoja Pantoja submitted him in the first round. Pantoja actually beat Brandon Moreno twice already. Once on Ultimate Fighter and then once in 2018. Moreno is way more popular now. I feel like after COVID, the UFC got a lot more fans, so they probably like a lot of people probably don't really remember that fight, those fights with him and Pantoja. Moreno, I love his fighting spirit, and he's a guy who made it to the UFC, got cut, fought his way back to the UFC, and then became the champion. They're both extremely well rounded. I feel like Brandon Moreno got the edge on the striking. Pantoja got the edge grappling. Um, I'm really curious to see what's going to happen in this fight. I feel like it's a 50-50 fight. I hope Brandon Moreno wins, so I'm going to go with him. But as far as like betting on this fight, I wouldn't even touch it because I feel like anything can happen.
So you mentioned Pantoja already beaten him twice. You think that's going to play on his psyche?
I feel like based off of interviews I hear from him and whatnot, I feel like that motivates him to get this W. So I feel like it'll light a fire under him because it's a fight that they both been wanting back, but it's just they had him tied up with Figueiredo. So I don't really think it'll affect him in a negative way mentally. I think if anything, it'll motivate him. I think it'll help Pantoja. I think it'll add confidence to him because he got to go out there and do something he already did twice. But I mean, it's like the law of averages again. So like Pantoja might have beat him twice, but if he loses the one that really count, then nobody really gonna remember those two fights.
I wanna I started this comment from Ricardo because I want to go back to it at the end of the show. He's talking about John Jones. A damn shame. That's not acceptable. Why isn't there a challenger to step to him yet? I want to touch back on that at the end of the show because I got something else I want to say about that. But any other words on this fight?
Yeah, I feel like the fact that Pantoja, even though he beat him twice, one only really counted because the Ultimate Fighter. I don't think they don't really count those as official victories. But Moreno is such a different fighter now that I don't feel like that's in his head, and I feel like if anything, it's just gonna motivate him to do better. And plus, the Figueiredo, he fought him 4 times and he overcame that. So this is gonna be just another nemesis of his to overcome.
And I'll just add this. I feel like this is the fight that could launch Brandon Moreno into superstardom because that belt, it's been hot potato. You get what I'm saying? Ever since Demetrius Johnson lost it, Henry Cejudo defended it like once or twice. Then he let it go. Then David Figueiredo had it. He defended it once, and then him and Moreno handed it back and forth a couple times. Moreno ended up winning the last 2 fights. So I feel like this will be his stamp on a division where he'll come out as like, okay, this is officially my time and this is my title reign.
No, but that's parody. Parody is great. Parody is so good. That is the definition of parody is what you just mentioned. So by that, everybody gets to touch the title, everybody gets a participation trophy. There you go. Now you have a division with no clear-cut favorite. Nobody that you can be like, that's my champion.
And I would also like to say, hey, I don't know if it's Sean Shelby or Mick Maynard. I forget which one is in charge of the lower weight classes, but I love what they did with this division because at one point they were going to get rid of it completely. He stacked that division up and added fighters to the point where it's like you almost feel like anybody can be anybody on any given night. Because even though Pantoja defeated Brendan Royval, I feel like if Moreno wins this fight, Brendan Royval is the next challenger, and that's going to be an interesting fight that I again feel like can go either way. So I like the way they build up this division.
Yeah, that was gonna be my last thing about this fight. I'm very interested to see because I'm ready to see Brandon Royval get a title shot, and I feel like it's gonna be a fantastic matchup too. He just in the weeds lurking, basically.
All right, so here before we get into the main event, here's one of my here's another one of my questions. So because this is what I was gonna say. When I was looking for a picture to do the thumbnail for this show last night, I started to call y'all because I'm like, well, wait a minute, why do I see John Jones on the poster? I'm like, am I looking at something wrong? Like, I'm like, because every picture I typed in for UFC 290 showed the Volkanovski fight, but then it also showed John Jones. So it showed the Volkanovski being the co-main, and it showed John Jones versus Stipe. So my question is, John Jones and Stipe being the main event, this fight would have easily done 1 million buys. How many is it doing now?
I'm not sure.
I don't think it's.
Yeah,
I don't think it's gonna. I don't think they're gonna be hurting for no buys. To be honest with you, I really don't. Especially since Volkanovski's last fight was against Islam Makhachev, and Volkanovski is considered the pound for pound best fighter in MMA right now. And Yair Rodríguez is like a character out of a video game. I don't mean to jump ahead to the main event, but I just feel like, and then Brandon, like, I don't feel like they're gonna be hurting for buys. Not saying that it would have done as good as a John Jones Stipe fight. I feel like that would have brought all the numbers in, but I don't think they're gonna be hurting for buys. I think it's gonna do pretty decent.
yeah. Anybody who a true MMA fan, they're gonna look at this card and they're gonna be salivating at the mouth because of the matchups that we got, and plus, Volkanovski, his last fight, his stock went up in my opinion because I didn't think he was going to do it as good as he did, and some may argue that he won that fight. That's debatable, against Islam Makhachev, the guy Dagestani. And plus the co-main event, you got Brandon Moreno and Alejandro Pantoja. That's a fight that, like my brother said, we've been wanting to see for a while, and they've been wanting to fight each other for a while. So I'm looking forward
and
to.
when Bobby Knuckles is on the card, people tuning in too. So
see, this is where this is where I got to come in. So in the past 12 months, you know what the highest grossing UFC card was as far as pay-per-view buys?
John Jones.
It was John Jones' return at just a little bit over 1 million pay-per-view buys for a total gross of like $60 million. So you mean to tell me that this card that everybody thought John Jones was going to be on, now that he's not on it, that it's still going to do anywhere in that ballpark?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to get 60 million like as if John Jones is on there, but I think it's going to be pretty decent though.
but see, I think that's the difference between like fans and casuals, because it's like the casual fans bought that pay-per-view because John Jones was on it. They didn't even know the guy he was fighting, probably. You get what I'm saying? They never heard of him until they saw he was fighting John Jones. So I feel like that's just like the casuals, like, the people that go to the Super Bowl party that don't give a damn about the Super Bowl, they just want to say they were there.
Yeah.
I think it's those people that make the difference when you got superstars like when you got superstars like John Jones and Conor McGregor who transcend the sport. So I feel like those are the people that make up for those extra buys. I'm not saying it's cheating, because that's what you want. You want the casuals to tune in because that's how you create new fans. But I feel like that's the star power that John Jones has.
So you just jumped the gun for my next question. Who's the superstar on this card? Because
the number one pound for pound fighter.
Mike is telling y'all it's the casual fans that's getting this over 1 million, and I say the casual fans are not tuning into this fight, because now I need you to tell me who's the superstar on this card.
I mean, even if I tell you, me telling you versus the commercials telling you are two different things. Like, I can tell you Jack Della Maddalena is a superstar. You're going to be like, I've never heard of that guy before.
But you see my point?
Start seeing him,
you see my point?
And
again, I'm not disagreeing with anything you're saying, but I had to play.
Yeah, I know.
My role here is to is to bring everybody back down to reality a little bit, because they do it to me every Wednesday. Is to show you that John Jones alone is worth about $250,000 buys on his own easily.
Yeah, I'm not disputing that, but at the same time, if viewers in New Zealand right now and you ask that question, people will be going crazy over Volkanovski. Over here, he's not a mega superstar, but I guarantee if he's at an airport in New Zealand, anybody's going to recognize him at any airport or coffee shop or whatever like that.
You know how big New Zealand is?
And that's another thing too, though. Like if you're Mexican or if you're a Kiwi, it's like, all right, put it this way: they're in Vegas, right? But I bet you, like more than 70% of that crowd is gonna be Mexican and Kiwi, because you got Dan Hooker, you got Alexander Volkanovski, you got Jack Della Maddalena, you got Jimmy Crute. So I feel like they're more so playing to like certain regions, as opposed to when John Jones is there. It's just, oh, I want to see it because it's John Jones. Then you got the Mexicans who like, even with boxing, like when Canelo fighting, like Mexicans are gonna be there. So you got Yair, you got Moreno, so I feel like that's more so what they're gonna get the revenue off of when it comes to people actually coming. But as far as the buys, yeah, I mean you can't top that. Star power of Conor McGregor.
Let me ask this in a different way, because again, I don't want y'all to get defensive like I'm picking on the UFC. I'm not. I'm just like I say, I look at things, because when you're breaking down fights, that's fine. But I like to go into the business of it. If the majority of the fans that go to the Super Bowl, would you say they're diehards or casuals?
I would say it's a little bit of both.
I would say casuals.
The majority of fans that go to WrestleMania, diehards or casuals?
Probably diehards.
That's.
I feel like wrestling and MMA is like a niche type of thing. You get what I'm saying? Whereas football is more commercialized and more popular.
Okay,
so I feel like people are going to the Super Bowl. Yeah, okay.
I'll give you that, because it's still going to prove my point that I'm about to say. So if MMA, because okay, I agree, MMA, they're playing to a Mexican and a Kiwi audience. So for those fans are who's going to be in the stands. Guess where UFC gets the biggest bulk of their money from? Not for the arena, from the television deal. So they now need to translate somehow those fans that are so diehard and passionate about it in the arena into pay-per-view buys. And what I'm saying is, who's the superstar on this card that makes you be like, yeah, I gotta buy that? Amanda Nunes is a superstar. Conor McGregor is a superstar.
To the casual fan, there is no superstar on this card. To the casual fan.
But and I will say, like, I agree with you 100%. But I will also say that oh man, I just lost it just that quick. So I forgot where I was going with that. Repeat your question again.
I'm gonna say this card does 690,000.
Oh, I know what I was gonna say. So the pay-per-view model is sort of kind of dead. So I feel like with the deal that they got with ESPN already paid them. Now it's like the UFC is straight, but in order to keep that deal with ESPN, I guess ESPN got to be able to sell them pay-per-views. So I guess it's all one and the same. Like I think they get a set amount of money from ESPN, and then because you got to have ESPN Plus to even buy the pay-per-view. So I think they get a set amount from ESPN, and I feel like sometimes the product kind of suffers, because sometimes you do get those pay-per-views where it's like it's extremely top-heavy, and for you to part with your money for a card like that, like, put it this way, like the last pay-per-view, it's not something that, like, all right, Amanda Nunes was on it. So the one before that, I think it was, it's not even the one that Amanda Nunes was on. I could see a lot of people, if you're going to pick and choose, okay, I'm gonna skip this one. But this one right here is the one that like, and I'm just speaking for like the above casual fan. I can see them saying, okay, I'm not gonna buy this one, but I will buy this one, even though Amanda Nunes is on the last one because of the matchup. And this month they have 2 pay-per-views in July. So me personally, if I had to buy one of the pay-per-views this month, I would skip this one and buy the next one just because Poirier is on it. You get what I'm saying? But at the same time, I don't think the fights on that card are going to be better. I just think that main event is going to be the fight of the year next in 2 weeks.
Also, Dustin Poirier is my brother's favorite fighter. If y'all haven't figured out yet. And for me, I would skip that one, and I would probably buy this Snow Knuckle because this one has overall more matchups, better matchups.
Let me show you something here, because I love how y'all trying to go down with the ship. I love it. But so
I'm not arguing with you. I'm agreeing with you. You're right.
UFC 285 was John Jones, did over $1 million buys, and it took in, that was a estimated gross of $60 million for the company. The next pay-per-view, which was probably a month or so after, because we reviewed it, UFC 286, Kamaru Usman versus Leon Edwards. You know how many buys that did?
Nope.
Less than 500,000. So again, when I'm saying superstar, that's what I'm talking about. I think I agree with y'all. I think just for the fighting fan, that this card is going to kick all type of ass. But the reason I even brought this up is because when I try to translate the business of the wrestling business, wrestling doesn't cater to us. Wrestling don't give a damn about us. We go to indie wrestling. We go watch CCW. The big companies don't cater to people like us. The big companies cater to that 18 to 34 demo, the casual fans or the 50-year-old fan that probably used to watch it, but now they want to come back in and watch it again. At the end of the day, the product is about pushing buys and getting network subscriptions and all type of crap like that. What do they say? When you go to the events, they say it's they estimate you at $200 per 18 inches. So for every seat, they try to get $200 worth of merchandise out of you. That's just how they do it. So that's what they're catering to. So that's why when y'all hear me ask these questions, it ain't to discredit the card at all, because listening to y'all talk, there gonna be some bangers in here. We haven't even gotten to the main event yet. But I'm looking at how could you go from UFC 285 that did over $1 million, and then the next one drops 500,000 buys like that. That says, and I bet the quality of the next one wasn't bad, because that Jones and Gone main event wasn't all that great. So I bet you the quality of UFC 286 probably was better than 285, but 286 had a superstar. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think the UFC does enough to build superstars. They got great fighters, but they don't have no superstars. Any guy on this card right now could walk in the airport and most of the people wouldn't realize who the hell they were. Whereas anybody off a WWE roster could walk through an airport and you'd be like, oh shit, that's Roman Reigns. Superstar. John Jones, superstar. Amanda Nunes, superstar. Ronda Rousey, superstar. Conor McGregor, superstar. So what I'm saying is, what is UFC doing to build superstars? They got the fight game down pat, but what are they doing to make these guys more marketable? Because I don't see these guys' faces anywhere. If it's not for y'all, if it's not for me hearing y'all, I'd Volkanovski. What the hell? First of all, that name is too hard to remember. But like, I look to y'all to tell me, like, hey, this is the guy to look forward to, or this is the guy to look forward to. You know who should be doing that and who's not doing that? The UFC.
Hey, Trevor, we always argued about how they changed the UFC game as far as with the Reebok deal and stuff like that, and took away fighter individuality, and they can't, have sponsors the way they used to and stuff like that. So I agree with you as far as that, and I feel like when they did that, that kind of took away the superstar aspect of it.
Yeah, Ricardo, the UFC pay-per-views are like 70, $80. There. Yeah. So they
Yeah, I agree with you on that, Bones. Like, I feel like taking away the fighters' individuality and giving them all the uniform, and it takes less character away from them. That's why you see a lot of them saying, "All right, I'm gonna just go ahead and start a YouTube channel," and like, but it's like if you're not looking for that stuff, you won't find it. You get what I'm saying? So I feel like they kind of shot themselves in the foot with that, but at the same time, it's turned into such a machine that I feel like they couldn't give a damn as long as they're getting their money.
Yeah, they're more about making money now, and they're generating money, and more of like a money making factory as opposed to making superstars. Because if you look at back in the day, you had GSP, BJ Penn, Anderson Silva. You know, you had a lot of people that people knew. You know, that was UFC fighters. Rampage Jackson. You know, Chuck Liddell, Iceman, Randy Couture.
I feel like in turn, the sport has gotten bigger. So they traded off superstars for the growth of the sport, and it might come back to bite them in the ass later on. Because if they lose the fans that they have now, they're gonna have to do something to get the new fans in. So I feel like that'll be a time where it might bite them in the ass.
All right. Yeah, I had to make y'all sweat a little bit. Y'all know how I do it. So, so let's get into this main event. So you got Alexander, what's his name? Volkanovski versus Yair Rodríguez, whose name I feel like I just heard recently. So the first question I ask is, how come they both got a belt?
Because Volkanovski moved up to the lightweight division to fight the Dagestani Makachev, and he was unsuccessful, so he's back down. But in the meantime, so that way the division wasn't stagnant, the UFC had an interim fight between Yair Rodriguez and Josh Emmett, and Yair Rodriguez submitted him and got the belt. So now they're going to unify the belts.
Okay.
With that being said, I'm a huge Yair Rodriguez fan. He's somebody that when he first started fighting, I didn't like him, you know, when he beat BJ Penn because I'm a huge BJ Penn fan. But besides that, you know, I've been with him the whole way through. You know, I was even with him when he suffered the loss against Dillashaw, you know, but he is his weakness, and Frankie Edgar too. His weakness has been the takedowns, and you know he's been susceptible to ground and pound and not being able to get off his back. But at the same time, he has nasty elbows from the back. But it's like a thin line between you don't want to get too comfortable being on your back because you know in the judge's eyes you're losing the fight. So you need to get up more. But he's gotten better with that. He's very lanky. He uses his range very well. He has some nasty kicks, you know, spinning wheel kicks, teep kicks, all kind of kicks. He had one of the nastiest knockouts in UFC history, with an elbow, like an upward elbow. If you haven't seen it, check it out on YouTube. He literally did it with the last second of the round of the fight. Um, Volkanovski, he's a beast, and like I said before, in my opinion, his stock went up against his like when he fought Makachev in his last performance. Uh, some will say that he won that fight. That's debatable. Um, he's very well-rounded, and he got a good stand-up. Overall, I would say that Yair is more versatile, and I think he has nasty elbows. So I feel like overall he's going to win by decision, and I'm taking the upset big time because Volkanovski is ranked, I believe now pound for pound he's number 3 because I believe Jones is number 1, Makachev is number 2, and so this will be a big upset. But I'm gonna take Yair. That's my boy. I've been rocking with him since day one, and I'm gonna stick with him.
Well, it's a lot to unpack in this fight. But definitely, once we get off this podcast, you should definitely just look up Yair Rodriguez highlight. Um, he does some amazing things. I've seen him do a jump kick with the right leg, and then before he lands, he's connecting with a right cross at the same time. That was against BJ Penn. The knockout of Korean Zombie was something that I've never seen before and probably will never see again. He's just dynamic, and he did have some holes in his game as far as the groundwork, but then after submitting Brian Ortega off of his back and then submitting Josh Emmett off of his back, who were both extremely they have like Josh Emmett is a really good wrestler. Brian Ortega is a submission specialist, jiu-jitsu. So for him to get 2 submission victories off of those guys shows that he shored up those holes in his game. The kicks come from everywhere. He's real rangy, unpredictable, and just a fun guy to watch. Like, he's one of the most entertaining fighters when it comes to just watching him get off his offense. He's like a video game character. Like he's somebody you see in the video game, extremely athletic, does things that you'll never see before. Like he's one of those guys. If you were just watching 2 silhouettes fighting and you saw one of them moving around, you would know, okay, that's Yair Rodríguez. Alexander Volkanovski, I think he's actually number 1 right now, pound for pound. Cleaned out he's trying to clean out his division. Always, he's a very active champion. Like we spoke about earlier, him and Adesanya, they're both in the same camp. Those guys over there, I think, are just bred different. Used to be a rugby player, now he's in the UFC. I first took note of him when he fought Chad Mendez. I was a little upset because he knocked him out, and I was a huge Money Mendez fan. I think he won like 21 fights in a row or something like that. And then he lost to Islam Makhachev, upper weight class, coming back down to defend his belt. He didn't have no clear number 1 contender, so he was like, I'm going to go up and try to get that belt. In the meantime, y'all boys sort this out down here. And I'll come back to show you why I'm the champion. I don't know. This is a fight that is guaranteed to be entertaining. It's hard for me to pick against Volkanovski because after what he just did to the lightweight champ, it's kind of hard to imagine the featherweight giving him any problems. He beat Max Holloway 3 times, even though one of those is debatable. I don't know. I mean, I feel like he can't really say no good things about either one of these guys, but somebody got to lose. And I can definitely see Rodríguez pulling off the upset, but it's just I can't pick against Volkanovski right now. And if Volkanovski does win, then I feel like that definitely cements him as one of the greatest featherweights of all time. I mean, you look at the resume. He got Holloway on there 4 times. He got 3 times. He got the Korean Zombie on there. He got Jose Aldo on there. I think maybe if not once, if not twice, definitely once.
Twice. You got him
he's
twice.
just one of them. You got him twice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I feel like he got Brian Ortega on there too. So I mean, his resume is undeniable. I feel like if he wins this fight, he might just move up a weight class and try Volkanovski again. I mean, try Makhachev again, but I'm gonna pick him just because I can't pick against him. But on the other side, if Moreno wins and Rodríguez wins, then Mexico was on a roll. Irene Aldana kind of like put a flat tire in that. So if Volkanovski loses the belt, I can see them doing the card in
Mexico City,
where you got Grasso, you got Rodríguez, and you got Moreno all defending their belt in Mexico. So I don't know. We'll see how that play out, but I'm gonna go Volkanovski by decision.
All right, hold on. Let me stop sharing the screen. Oh man. All right. Well, there you have it. So overall though, you guys think that this is going to be a pretty good card?
The thing I like about this card, they have a little mix of everything. You got the young, well not young, but as far as MMA wise, young Olympic guy and Bo Nickel. You got the pound for pound guy in Volkanovski. You got Moreno, who's the fighting champion in a rematch against Pantoja. So they have like a little bit of everything. You got rising stars like Jack Meldelena. So because they have a mix of everything, I feel like it's going to be pretty good, and there's a lot of ranked fights too. Like after this card,
Yeah,
it's going to shape up and it's going to have a big effect on the rankings.
yeah. A lot of questions are gonna be answered after this one, and you also got Robbie Lawler going out on his last fight. And one thing I want to shoot back to real quick is this dude Cameron Simon on the another South African guy on the early prelims, undefeated prospect. I'm looking to see what he gonna do. I've been watching him climb up the rankings a lot. He came from Dana White Contender Series. Uh, he's definitely somebody to keep an eye out for. So you should pay attention to that guy as well. But overall, this card got a lot of interesting matchups, and the way they match up, you got like strikers versus strikers. You got well-rounded versus well-rounded. You got tall and rangy versus tall and rangy, brawler versus brawler. These fights, I feel like, gonna have a lot of action. You might even see a lot of finishes, but I don't think it's really any from the prelims all the way up to the main event. Excluding the early prelims, I don't really see any fights that I would want to miss. If I would definitely part $80 to watch this fight, watch this card.
And their pay-per-views are $80 now.
$80.
So let
Take
me
my
ask
money.
you, let me ask you this question that I asked your brother. Do you feel, and I asked Mike the same thing, and they both danced around. Well, yeah, Bones didn't really dance around it because he had a comeback, but I mean, it's safe to say that you don't watch these fights a traditional way, correct?
Correct.
And do you feel that you're stunting the growth of the company, or you're not contributing to the company that you love?
Sometimes I do, but sometimes I don't care enough to stop. So I mean, I feel they gotta get them, I gotta get me. And at the end of the day, it's like yeah, I may not watch it the conventional way, but there is a time I remember when Masvidal, he was saying how they wanted him to step in on short notice to fight Usman, and Dana was saying how he didn't give him the fight originally because he's not a needle mover. I made sure I bought that pay-per-view. You feel me? Just because like I wanted to contribute to proving that Masvidal was a needle mover, and that pay-per-view did exceedingly well and got Masvidal a new contract. So it feels good to know I contributed to that. And whatever small portion I did, you get what I'm saying? But I'm also a person that every chance I get, I'm gonna go to a live event. So I'm part of that live gate. I buy merch, so I'm a part of that too. And ain't nothing wrong with every now and then getting your cousin to make you a shirt that say UFC on it, because even though I didn't get it from them, I'm a walking advertisement. So look at what we doing now. We ain't getting paid for this. I might get them 2 bars.
Yeah, I never looked at it that way, because whenever WWE's down here, I always try to go. Plus, we buy merchandise and all that stuff. Hell, I got the world titles and stuff like that. So, yeah, hell yeah. If I had to watch their stuff in nefarious ways, so what? Especially after what they just did. Especially after what they just did to my last video. Yeah, to hell with them. Especially, yeah.
There's other ways to support the companies that we love, besides the traditional way of watching it.
But I see. I think traditional paper. I think like you just wicked if you still doing traditional pay-per-view, because you can get away with it. But I mean, the WWE model is so great. That's why I think AEW would be better served if they could get on a streaming platform, get on kind of a deal like what WWE has, even if they could get on Amazon Prime or something. Where you know.
So MLW for like the new season, this past season and the new season, they have it to where you can watch every episode on YouTube, and then the pay-per-view is on Fight TV, and it's only like $10 a month. So that's something reasonable, and that's something that I feel like, AEW could do or something like that,
But wasn't AEW used to be on Fight?
Yeah, they're on, yeah, for I believe Dynamite, but it's different. They're on TNT every week, so you gotta have some kind of service to watch them every week.
To touch on what Bone said, I was with my son and I was looking for a specific match on AEW, and I had to go to this site and like try to search and find it, and I eventually had to find it on YouTube, and the quality was shit. And I didn't even find the whole match. I just found like the highlight, the 14-minute highlight reel. So it would definitely serve them to get on some streaming service. I feel like, but the UFC is like they trying to dig deep in your pockets because you got to have the streaming service, which pays a monthly fee in order to give them your $80. So I feel like they just doing too much, and them tickets to them live events, especially the pay-per-views, they ain't cheap. So I mean, kind of expensive to be a hardcore fan. And what I do want to do is I want to go to a movie theater and watch a fight one time. I want to see what that atmosphere is like.
Yeah,
they show all these pay-per-views at the movies.
See, I didn't know that. I know that's something they used to do back in the 80s, like on closed circuit TV.
Yeah, it's one specific. It's one specific theater that shows all UFC fights.
Oh, okay.
But the tickets be like $25.
Yeah, but that would be worth it though.
But see, and then the way I look at it is like, okay, so if you get a group of 4 people that's going, you was better off ordering it.
Yeah, you're better off ordering it. Yeah,
for your home. So that's
how I feel. That's how I feel. I'm like, I got this big ass 70-inch TV on my wall. Like, why the hell would I go pay? You know what I'm saying? And like, I could turn the couches in the stadium, like movie theater seating, if I want. We could grill something up and have the drinks pouring, and there you go. There's no issue. So yeah,
right.
Because even when we watched the last we didn't have nothing here for the last Super Bowl, but the Super Bowl before that, we did the damn thing over here. So it's like the home experience has gotten so much better. Like, it's hard to justify going to a lot of these events unless you just like a diehard and you want to go.
So when we gonna do a fight party at your crib?
Shit, yeah, man. Well, my
girl. All I gotta do is bring my device.
Okay. Well, if John Jones would ever get off his ass and defend his belt, then we got it. So the next John Jones fight.
All right.
The next John Jones fight.
Thing is, the next John Jones fight, you might have to sit through like a lot of BS to get to that main event. And then you're gonna be like, "Oh, see, this wasn't working. Like, why would I watch this?"
Yeah, but it's a John Jones fight. But see, you see how wicked they are though. His name, he's such a superstar that they'd fill the card up with crap.
That's how they did the Khabib fights a lot too. They'll have nobody who named and then Khabib.
Bro, I'm the biggest Conor McGregor fan, and it kills me that every McGregor fight is a sorry co-main event, and the whole card is usually weak. I don't want. I'm sorry, no disrespect, but I don't want to see Raquel Pennington go against Holly Holm. I don't want to see it.
Hey, Michael just said I bought myself 2 years. the next John Jones fight. You better defend that belt before. Definitely next John Jones fight. Yeah, I'm in. Because last night, like I said, I was up till 2:00. I was up to 2:00 last night playing Street Fighter. So I'll just be standing in front of that, and and the thing about me, I don't sit down in a chair when I'm playing. I'm standing up in front of the TV, so I'm like literally standing in front of the TV all night playing Street Fighter.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Hey, I'm gonna encourage you to find a way to watch this main event for that next pay-per-view, because all hell will break loose. Gaethje versus Poirier, fight of the year.
What day is that? Which day is that?
I think it's like July 19th or something like that. Yeah, July 19th. How could I forget Christmas?
If I don't have anything to do, I'm gonna come by and watch that, because I want to see this guy you keep talking about
for the BMF title too. That was retired by Jorge Masvidal.
Yeah, but if I don't have anything to do, I'm gonna just come over and watch. I'm gonna just come over there and watch it.
All right.
And then we could then we could review it. We could redo it. Yeah, nice charity. Yeah, Ricardo, the thing about it though, with them 70-inch TVs, because I have it on the wall that's so big, it still looks small. So I had to actually paint the wall to kind of make the size make it not look as big as it does. But yeah, those big TVs are nice, man. They just delicate.
Hey, also, Ricardo asked, why won't anybody step up? Trust me, it's people calling for John Jones, but it's just they're not making the fight. Like, if it was up to Sergey Pavlovich, he said he's sitting out from now on until he get a title shot, because he knocked out his last 6 opponents in the first round. One of them was ranked number 3, which was Curtis Blades. So it's like he been knocking them out every time they line him up. And he's like, oh, I want the winner of Stipe versus John Jones. If Stipe don't want to fight, give me John Jones. Like, I'm not fighting until I get a title shot. So it's like, we'll see how long that lasts, because, I mean, who knows when John Jones is going to fight. They got it set up for November. In the meantime, if he needs money, he probably going to fight. So we'll see what happens with that. But, I mean, people been stepping up. It's just Dana seeing like he want the fight that he wants.
Yeah, he want that money fight, which is.
And in the meantime,
any John Jones
getting
fight
older.
Is a money fight. Any John Jones fight is a money fight.
I agree.
Any John Jones, Ricardo, definitely. If John Jones, if they tell me, hey, John Jones is fighting at UFC such and such, I'm gonna just be like, all right, I'm gonna block that day off. That's it. Just simple as that. Simple as that.
Who knows? His next one might be his last one. Because he said, like, he said something about I feel like he wanted to fight. I feel like it's after he done ran through a whole division and now I got the belt in another one. I feel like it's hard to find challenges that excite him. I feel like he wanted Stipe because of the name. Stipe ain't fought in damn near 3 years now. So, I mean, I feel like we all know how that's going to go the longer it takes for it to happen.
Yep.
And after that, what's the next big name in heavyweight?
That's ridiculous, man. That's crazy, man. But all right, fellas, we done went over 2 hours, almost 2.5 hours. I didn't think this one was going to. Hey, listen, man. Wednesday we did a show, and I had talked to Van Cat earlier in the day before we started the show because I was off. The show was originally planned for 2, but then I was like, nah, because I know it's going to be at least 2 or 3 hours. I want to spend some time with my daughter. So let's try to do the show at noon. So I went to the store earlier that morning and I was talking to Van Cat for about 30 minutes on the phone, and we were talking about the show. And I was like, boy, this when I hit the go live button, I said, oh God, this is going to be long. I was like, man. But when I said long, I think the longest show we ever did over here was the WrestleMania show, and that was 3.5 hours. So I'm like, all right, when I'm thinking long, I'm thinking it's going to be like 3 hours. That damn show was 4.5 hours because Van Cat and Brent start talking about like old school basketball. I I left and went and made a sandwich and just let them talk. Like they were just going back and forth. And then we got into the conversation about all the layoffs at ESPN and stuff, which that's what I really wanted to talk about, because that was my favorite part of the show. Just because how intriguing it was, especially like what we do now, you know, covering the sports and stuff. It was real intriguing. And that's when he came up with his whole parody argument about how good parody is, which I don't think so. I just think if you're dominant, then you're dominant. We have to applaud the guy that's dominant in something, the guy that just can't be beat. And then when they get beat, then you're like, wow. Like, you know, when Chris Weidman was beating Anderson Silva, we was like, oh crap. You know what I mean? So it's like it meant something. It wasn't like, oh, you got a new champion every month. So
speaking of Chris Weidman, I would just like to say, in comparison to Ronda Rousey, he is a fighter. He snapped his leg the way Anderson Silva did in his last fight in Jacksonville, like almost 3 years ago. Yep. And he's fighting on the next pay-per-view. He made his way back.
Oh, he's
I don't know
back?
if he's gonna win or lose. Yeah, I don't know if he's gonna win or lose, but just the fact that he's back says a lot. They almost had to amputate his leg because he had to have like a surgery. Then the surgery didn't sit right when the bone wasn't healing, so they almost had to amputate his leg. And they had to re-break it and do it all over again, and now he's coming back. So I got to give him a lot of credit on that. And also, I wanted to say when we're going to do our fight review show, as far as like reviewing particular fights.
Yeah, well, we gotta get it in, because when we ever gonna do it, this is the perfect time to get it in, because
I feel like you pick your fight, Bones picked his fight, and I got left hanging in the wind.
Well, you want to do the women's fight, right?
Absolutely, the best women's fight ever.
All right. Well, we'll have to so we'll have to get that in. So so we got to review. We got to do a review of this show's Sunday. So so I can get a clear picture of what the schedule is going to be looking like coming up, and then we could go from there.
All right, cool.
All right, fellas, let me go and lock them down. Almost getting on 2.5 hours.
All right, it's been cool. Can't wait. We got about 43 more hours to go. Let's get it.
All right, fellas.
Peace.
All right, later.
Well, Straight Talk Society, there you have it. Another fantastic episode of Straight Talk MMA. Can you believe we've done 12 of these so far? I can't believe it. This MMA show was the first show that we actually did on the channel, and this is the 12th one so far. So, we're getting, we're progressively getting better. We're working out the kinks. And I wanted to tell the guys that this was the best that their mics ever sounded for so long. Like towards the end, you started to get a little static, but for like 95% of the show, like their mics were fantastic. So we're always getting better at everything we do. But I appreciate you guys sticking along, hanging along, being active in the chat, things like that. Please make sure and hit that like button. We will be back Sunday, not sure what time, to review this show. And then Monday is the great debate. Reginald Young versus Jansen Williams at 6:05. We'll be starting at 6:05 Eastern time. And the topic of the debate is, will Jesus enforce his commandments during the 1,000-year millennial reign? That's going to be really good because, like I said, those two have a blood feud in the debate circuit. And they wanted to do it over here because I'll be unbiased and give them a fair share and opportunity to get their stuff off. So look forward to that this Monday at 6:05. We have a Pour Your Heart Out show coming up. I want to say July 21st. That's entitled The Vagina Monologues. So, anything with vagina in the topic and the title has to be good. So so definitely looking forward to that. I think that's it. I don't have any more announcements, so I'll see you again on Sunday. Not sure the time. Just look for the thumbnail. Make sure and hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Please like the videos when you come into the building. It really does help us in the algorithm. Yeah. Besides that, see you on Sunday. I leave you with these words: always seek out the truth for yourself, because if not, you'll fall victim to other people's interpretations of them. See you Sunday. Peace.
If you want to be the best, you got to beat the best, and the best is blessed, baby.
All right, gentlemen, we've been over the rules. Protect yourself at all times. Follow my instructions. Keep it clean. Touch gloves if you wish. Let's do it.
Straight Talk MMA, hosted by Zay Bones and Trevor.